So this is chapter 6. Well, if you haven't watched the previous one, then go watch it, then continue with this one. So chapter 6 of the iOS Human Interface Guidelines. Now this one will be talking about multitasking. So of course you know that your application will go into different states, like the background, foreground, the view did appear, will appear, a lot of different states, and you have to implement them in order to guarantee that your application works in the correct way. So this is for multitasking. Let's go to printing. So if your application contains some printing options, then you have to make sure that the user gets the correct views. Now he can't get this one, like the printer options, unless he is connected to a printer. So make sure that everything is consistent. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Ads. Of course, your application can include some ads, and this is the ad that you can add into your application. So for iPad and iPhone, here are the dimensions of the banner. This is the banner in landscape and in portrait mode, and it's in points, not pixels, so the iPhone in points is the correct one, and in pixels it would be 640 by 100 for iPhone 4 and 4S and any later iPhones. Now the full screen banner view dimension, we have another type of banners which is the full screen banner, and this is a new one that it was introduced lately. So the dimensions are just like this. Now let's move to the second point, which is sounds. Now of course your application will may have some sounds in it, so make sure that the sounds are, let's say, know when to pause or when to play a sound. Like you want to play a sound and then you want to navigate to another view and you want this sound to be playing, or if you want it to stop when you are navigating to a new view. So make sure to implement this in a correct way. Location services, of course, when you want to use the location services and take the location of the user, you have to inform him by notification or a UI alert view. And of course he must know why are you using his current location. Of course this is a compass, and this is clear enough why would we use the current location of the user, but in your application you have to tell the user why are you using his location, or it should be obvious for him. Now chapter 7. Chapter 7 is talking about different kinds of bars. Now you should be familiar with these ones and you should use them inside your application. If it is, like, let's say, a tab bar application, then you have to use this one. If it is a toolbar application, if your application includes a toolbar, then you have to use this one. And of course there are different let's say dimensions for each. You have to know about each one, and you will be getting this information later on. And of course you have to use icons. So if you want to use icons, you have to use the appropriate icon for each usage. So if you want to, let's say, let the user delete something, you have to use this recycle bin icon, since the user is, let's say, familiar with this one. And here are the different buttons that you can use, the name of each and the meaning of each one. These are toolbars and navigation bars elements, and the following is also a continuing of them. And this is a tab bar elements, and these are the tab view elements, and these are the library elements that you will be using to create your applications. So of course you have to use them as much as you can, since the user is well familiar with these, not any custom created elements. So use them unless you are designing, or your application must have a unique design, and you can then create your custom elements. Let's move to this one, popovers. You know, in iPhones there's something called the UI action sheet, which is let's say a view that pops and you have to choose an option. and upon choosing an option, another thing will take place, or something will change. And this cannot be implemented in iPad, since iPad has a large screen, so it is not, let's say, nice to view a full screen with like 2-3 choices. So instead we use popovers, which are a view that pops over your current view, as you can notice in this picture. Split view is for iPads, where you can see we have this one, this view, and another view here. This is a master view, and this is called a detailed view. So when you select a specific row, the detailed view will get you into a new view. Now if I press the mail contacts, I'll get this one. So the master view won't change, and the detailed view will change. So you have to implement these in your iPad application, and let's say just know when to use them. Now this is a little important since it is about alerts, and of course when you want to notify your user with a certain alert, he must read, like, that people do not like to read, so you have to take this into consideration. And when you give him an alert, just a short title and a short message, like a single line or one complete sentence message will be fine. Don't use this kind of let's say messages, because this is really wrong. Chapter 8. I guess this is the last chapter. Custom icon and image creation guidelines. So, of course, when creating an application, you have to create a certain icon for this. And what are the dimensions for this icon? Well, of course, there are a lot of different icons and a lot of different dimensions for that. So let's say you want to create an application and we want to create an icon for this. Here are the dimensions for iPhone Retina display, and for the iPad for creating an icon for this. But if you want to upload this one to App Store, you have to support it with a 512 by 512 icon, maybe the same one but of high resolution, to be placed on the App Store. There are different types of icons that you can see here, and they have a different in the description here you can know the different usage of these icons, and these are only optional. So you can read more about them inside this human interface guidelines book. Okay, I'm sorry, one more thing. Each App Store app is glossy. You can see this effect on it. This is not created by the user or the programmer or the developer of the application. The developer just sent this one as an app icon, and and this one will be transformed automatically to this one or processed to this one without him doing anything. This is supported by Apple, and this is really cool and will help you in if you don't know about designing, or if you can't do this shape. Anyway, let's move to the launch images, and of course these are the dimensions of the launch images. A launch image is the image that appears before your application starts. So this may be like a title or a loading screen or anything you want. Now this is all for the book. Now I'm adding some code related things, like something you have to take care of, which is commenting. You have to comment on your code, and I'm saying to you that you have to comment on your code. Well, I've been experiencing a lot of let's say bad things happening just because I haven't commented my code. So let's say of course these are the two ways to comment: a single line comment and a text block comment. And why should you comment? Well, first of all, let's say you are creating an application and you have created it, and after 2 months you want to modify it. If you go back to this application, and let's say this application is a 5,000 lines of code, so how will you know which method is which and what each variable, what's the role of each variable, and so on? So this will be a hard task. Now, if you commented on each line, let's say on each method, and if you name your, I'll be talking about naming your variables later on. So if you comment on the methods, this will be helpful. Now, one more thing you can do is, create a readme.txt file, and in that file, write a paragraph describing your program functionality, or let's say functionalities and features. So just beside inline comments, you can use this one, and this will also be helpful. Now, object name. When you want to let's say name your objects, your instances, your variables, or your methods, just don't use such names like int lol, double meow, string s1, and car numerical. These are bad practices, and we're gonna cancel these, and instead use long names that are, let's say, that help in understanding what does this integer refers to. This integer refers to money paid by user, and of course in Objective-C this is a really let's say a good practice, since Apple helps you with the names, with writability. So this is a bad practice for readability. This is a good practice for readability, so you can read it in a good way, but it is a bad practice for writability, since you'll be typing so many characters instead of like 3 characters or 2 characters. So why is it good for writability? Well, Apple has helped you in, just when you type like MON, they will be giving you the rest of your object name, so this will be helpful for you. And don't worry about long names. Here's a long name: double amount received in USD, string name of employee, car, first letter of the string. So just use them, and Apple uses them a lot in naming their methods. You can check them out, or if you are already programming in Objective-C and making applications, you will be facing a lot of long named methods. So I guess that's all for the iOS Human Interface Guidelines, and plus my own advices for you in commenting and naming your objects. And this is all for this tutorial. So of course this tutorial is inside my iOS 5 development series, so if you want to refer to that and check my other videos, go to that one. And if you like this video, subscribe to my channel and like my videos. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.